Hello, and welcome to an all new episode of What's Good with Kinte. And I am joined, and this is all the way live from Los Angeles, California. This is episode 9. And I'm joined by my wonderful guest, the one and only Chaya Lopez. How are you doing, Chaya?
Hey, good. Thanks for
Yes.
having me on.
Uh-oh. One and only
Sorry about that.
Chaya Lopez. How are you doing, Chaya?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, how are you doing, Chaya?
Doing great. It is hot as heck. I don't even know what temperature it is out here, but I'm in Modesto, California. You are in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I'm in good old Los Angeles, California. And I've been to Modesto. I've been to, believe it or not, Lodi, Sacramento, that whole area. So I spent some time down there, you know. So,
Nice.
yeah. So it gets pretty hot there, right?
It does. It does. And it sucks that like there isn't big airflow because it's the Central Valley, so everything just kind of gets all the air, all the dust, pollution, all kinds of crap gets stuck around here.
Yeah. You know what's funny though? Do you remember that show, Sons of Anarchy?
I do. I remember it. I never watched it though. So if you're gonna
They
make a reference to it, I would have no clue.
It used to crack me up because they would say, because they're in that area, right? Supposedly, it's like a made up town, but in that area, they would reference
Oh, okay.
places in that area. So they would be like, "Yeah, we need to get some men from Lodi," and I would crack up, because it would be like, I would find it funny that they would, that's where they were gonna go get their backup from, you know.
Yeah. From
So
Lodi.
yeah, but anyway,
Well,
so
Lodi is going towards the Bay Area. It's almost like at the edge of getting into the Bay Area. It's a lot cooler that way.
yeah. So, when it's the first time I interview somebody, I like to start off by starting off with an origin story. So, let's start off with your origin story. Where are you from originally? And tell us about, how you came up and where you went to high school and all that good stuff.
Okay. So I was born in San Salvador, and my mother brought me to the US when I was about 3 years old. So I don't remember a whole lot about where I was born. I do have random dreams every now and then, and I'll ask my mom, and according to her, she'll be like, "How do you remember that?" So I have dreams of memories of when I was a toddler. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. So I went to 52nd Street School for elementary, for people that are familiar with the LA area. And then I went to John Muir Middle School for junior high slash middle school. And I ended up at Alexander Hamilton for high school.
All
So
right.
there's that.
Yes,
Yeah. I'm a Yankee.
I definitely know your stomping grounds. I've
Really?
Yes, very much so. Yeah. I'm from Los Angeles. I'm from West LA. So I was supposed to go to Fairfax High, but I didn't go there. I went to school in East LA called Bravo Medical Magnet School. So uh,
Oh.
I thought I wanted to be a doctor, but then I realized I like girls. So it threw me off from my pursuits. But
Oh, so the girls distracted you from
it was
your
all
education.
it was all their fault. It was all their fault. But I'm happy about that. So were you one of those people at a young age where you kind of knew what you wanted in life? I know some people, they always knew they wanted to be an actor or they wanted to be a doctor or whatever. Was that you?
No, not at all. If you would have told me that I was going to be helping people in pain or helping business owners, I would have been like, yeah, whatever. Like I had no clue.
Hmm.
I,
Okay.
I do, however, remember because I tell this to business owners. So I work a lot with spiritually minded business owners. And what I mean by that is I work with people that are into the woo-woo stuff, right?
Hmm.
That they not just that they believe in God, but they're in a place where they know there's more to life than just what we've been told, kind of thing.
Right.
So one of the things we usually go into is that as a kid, I remember being sick a lot, and I remember having. Now I have words for it, but back then I didn't have language for it. I was a very empathic child, So I had huge empathy for people around me, and people would just open up, like strangers, grown-ups, classmates. They would just like open up and tell me their life story or tell me what they were dealing with or their frustrations. And I was just that listening ear. And I had no idea that that was preparing me for what I do now.
Mm. Okay, so it's interesting. I find myself in that's something kind of similar with me. Like I would get on the bus, and then somebody like a homeless person would just start telling me about their life story, or or just some random person or something like that. And it was kind of unsettling at first, but after a while, you kind of start to just accept that's what it is. You know what I mean? So was
Mhm.
that? How did you react when initially to that?
I was initially I was scared. I remember being about 9 or 10 years old, and at the time I was living with my aunt and her husband. And I remember that I would, they lived in a one bedroom duplex, and my mom lived right next door. And because of family situations, I was placed living with my aunt. I remember sleeping on the couch and being terrified at night because I would hear things and I would see things. And then I would tell the adults around me, and they would just tell me, oh, it's your imagination. Or they would tell me, it's just a dream. Or, you're just thinking about stories because my family is very big on into scary stories and movies.
Hmm.
And I wasn't. I wasn't into any of that stuff because I would actually. You remember the movie The Sixth Sense?
Oh yeah,
The little boy
I see.
who's like, I see dead people.
Right.
Yes. So when I watched that movie as an adult, it was one of the first times that I could see myself as that little kid seeing people who had crossed over or seeing energy or seeing spirits or that type of stuff. So all of a sudden, here I am, 9 years old. No one can explain any of this to me. So I did what I think most kids would do, which is like make this go away, right? Like turn it off. And so I remember it being dormant for years. And this is something that I hear a lot of intuitives speak about. There's actually a doctor out of UCLA. Her name is Judith Orloff, and she has dedicated her life to work with people who are natural empaths and helps them distinguish. She has an MD. I think she is a psychologist. I don't think she's a psychiatrist, but I think she's a psychologist. And she has spent her life helping people like myself distinguish between, are you crazy or is this just a gift, right? Is this
Mm.
something that you were born with or something that has evolved or developed in you? So now that I know that, I realize, oh, so for the majority of my elementary, junior high school years, this was like completely dormant. And then somewhere around my late teens, I remember starting to have almost like premonitions and seeing things out of the corner of my eyes. And at that point, I started to do my own reading and my own research and looking for answers. And that's how I came across people like Judith Orloff. So I realized that I wasn't crazy, and that I wanted to learn how to use this to help other people instead of it just be something that would randomly happen.
Mm. That's interesting. I think, yeah, most people would think they're crazy, right? And some people who do believe these things are a little crazy. So, um, the fact that you had to kind of reach within and to find out is this a real true gift, or is this something that's all in your head? That's had to be scary, right? I mean, it's not something that we will say is a normal thing, right?
I don't think that it's a normal thing per se, but I do know that there are a lot of people out there, especially now, who have awakened to the fact that they have intuitive gifts. And I tell people, just like we're able to see, hear, feel, smell, taste, you have spiritual gifts also that mimic that, but in the spiritual space, right? So some people have the ability to see, which they'll see energy or spirits, and we call them clairvoyant, right? And there's people that I'm sure you've had this feeling sometimes where you just know something, but you don't know why, right? Like
Hmm.
something's off when you're talking to someone, but you can't quite put your finger on it. I tell people that's your claircognizance. That is God literally speaking directly to your ability to think, to your brain. And then we have people that can feel, which is my first spiritual gift was the ability to just feel things. And so I would always end up being sick because I would mimic or pick up what other people's illnesses were. And now, as an adult, having gone into the healing space, I often find myself, like a couple of days ago, I had really bad sciatic pain. And I was like, what the heck? I didn't do anything. Like, what's going on? And the next day, the client that I saw in my office had really bad sciatic pain. And I'm going, okay, now this makes sense. So even now, like this far into it, I still have those moments of like, wait, is this really happening? Am I making this up? Like, how is this happening?
Mm. Do you often
Kinte's
take
like,
on?
do, do you, because you said often people like that are weird. Do you now think, oh, Kaya, weird?
No, not at all. Believe it or not, I actually have a lot of history with people who have similar things going on. So no, not at all.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
but one thing though that happens often is you kind of take on the pain or the hurt of others. Is that something with you as well, where you kind of feel their pain?
So I believe we all have the capacity to help other people heal. I believe that we haven't discovered what our strong suit or our strong intuitive ability is. And I say this because I've watched it over the years with people that I find myself, they end up finding me. And I always use the line of like, who's meant to meet me are the people that I meet, right? Like the who's meant to find me are the people that find me. And I used to be very much in the closet about speaking about these type of topics because I didn't want to be labeled as weird. And I didn't want that stigma of people going, oh, she's not Christian. Because if you were to ask me, like, what's your biggest fear in people knowing this about you, it would be that they would all of a sudden go, you know what? She doesn't believe in God. She's not a Christian woman. And it's far from the truth. I was actually 20 when I had my reawakening experience, is what I call it. And at the time, my mom had been diagnosed with having ovarian cyst, and they had ran tests, and they had told her she had cancer also. But she didn't have a whole lot of answers when she came to tell me this. And all I remember is being 20. My daughter was only a couple of weeks old. I was living in LA at the time in my studio apartment. I hear a knock on the door, and it's my mom, and my heart sank because my mom was not, and she still isn't, the type of person that comes to visit you. You go to her. She's the matriarch, right?
Right.
And at 20, she gives me this news. I remember still, like, she came in the room, we sat down in my olive green IKEA couch, and my daughter's crib was right next to us, and she says, you know, I came to tell you something, and nobody knows. Your dad doesn't know, your brothers don't know, and here's what's going on. And she said the word cancer, and all I remember is everything going mute. And I just remember seeing my mom's mouth move. And it's kind of like that Charlie, what do you call it? The Peanuts gang when they have that
Wow, wow,
character,
wow.
the adults just go, wah, 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 wah. Yeah.
Uh,
Like, so it was the adult, just like, all I could hear was random noises. And when she left, I got on my hands and knees and I started to pray. And up until that point in my life at 20, I hadn't been to church since I lived with my aunt when I was 9. So that's kind of where my story picks up again, because that's when I had my reencounter with God. And I just remember saying, God, tell me what to do. Show me what to do. I'd rather it be me and not my mom. And in that moment, I saw the bottom of a foot and little dots twinkling inside the foot. I called my mom after the experience was over. I don't even know, like, time didn't exist in that moment. I don't even know how long I was on my knees praying. And I went over to her house. She was like, God doesn't work this way. God doesn't speak to us this way. And she's telling me all the reasons why what I just experienced was not real. And I'm going, no, 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 you don't understand. Like, I just experienced this. Like, this is real. Like, this is happening. Like, what do you have to lose, is what I told her. And she laid on her couch, gave me her feet, and I started pressing on her feet. Little did I know that it was reflexology, right? But I could feel this intense heat and energy flowing through my hands at the time. And once the sensation stopped, I was like, I think I'm done. And she was pain free for 3 days. And
Wow.
3 days later, she said, come do that thing to my feet again. And same thing. I had that experience of her being pain free for several days. But like you asked, the reason I'm sharing this is you asked, do you ever take it on? In the beginning, yes. In the beginning, I remember being exhausted. I felt drained. I felt like I was getting over a flu almost, tired, and I could feel all the aches and pains that my mom was dealing with. And we were so connected at that time that if she was in pain at night, I was in pain at night. If she was in pain midday, I was in pain midday. And so that put me down another path of going, what the heck is this? And I enrolled and studied at the American University of Complementary Medicine. And that's when, like, the academic world opened up to show me that there are such things as alternative and complementary medicine.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. And to start off with such a personal journey that leads you there, probably makes the work that you do even more special because how you got into it, right?
Yeah, I always tell people, if it hadn't been for my mom, I don't think I'd be down this path, because if it had it been me dealing with an illness, I don't think I would have turned to God as quickly as I did. And I say that because I have dealt with my own health challenges over the years. And it's a very humbling experience to turn around and remind yourself, right? Like, hey, well, you do this to help heal other people, but why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you having this dialogue and conversation with God to help you to heal you? It's that whole physician heal thyself
Mhm.
scenario.
I'm interested in, you're a mother of two, right? Three. Oh,
Three.
wow. Okay, three. So, do you often use some of those abilities with the kids? I imagine you must, right? Uh-oh. Oh, I think she might be frozen. All right. Technical difficulties. Gotta love it. Let's see. All right. We'll do this. All right. As we are trying to get through the technical difficulties, what we'll do is we'll kick from the studio. All right. As we're waiting to get through the technical difficulties, I want to acknowledge everybody that is here. I see, start from the bottom. I see Steven is here. Natasha is here. Ryan is here. Maya is here. Robert is here, as well as, let's see, did I leave anybody else out? If I left you out, if you were here, let it be known. Say hi to us in the chat room. Let's see, old quote. Said there are two important days in life. That's the day you're born and the day you will find out why. I think that was written by an intuitive after self discovery. Okay. Let's see what Ryan says. Kaya is dope, super smart, and super caring. Yes, she is. So, yes, as we're going to wait for her to rejoin us. Also, I just want to let people know that you can follow me at Kinte F on Twitter, Kinte Ferguson on Instagram, and of course, the website is indieradio.org. We have a show that comes on every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, and that's Men and Women Talk, the Mars Venus show. Please make sure you guys check that one out, as well as starting on this Sunday, me and the great Dr. Vibe will be doing a podcast at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. Um, and that will be on the Get Vocal platform, and I will simulcast it as well on Facebook. And that show is called Black Men of the North and South of the Equator. So definitely check that out. So we are back with Kaya. How you doing, Kaya?
My phone decided to overheat. I'm telling you, it's hot here. I'm going to open up the window again.
Yeah, man.
Hopefully, it doesn't overheat.
Yeah. So you gotta love it doing live radio and video. All right. So, oh, so we were talking about using your abilities with your children. I imagine you must, right?
So my 19-year-old, I would say, was the first person I little by little started teaching some of these things. And when I say some of these things, like I've spent both academic and I guess you could say extracurricular time fine tuning my skills.
Hmm.
I'm very much a lifelong learner. So then when I did go seeking teachers or mentors, I wanted to learn like from people that were actually doing stuff. So I remember my first mentor. Her name is Christy Marie Sheldon. She does these massive energy clearings, and back then, she didn't have any students. She even turned me down to be a student of hers. And she said, I'm nobody's guru, is what she told me. I don't teach other people. And I remember that day, her turning around. We were taking a class with her. And at the end of the class, I had approached her and asked her if she would teach me. And she had told me no. And I remember us walking one door. I was walking out one door. She was walking out the other, and I hear her footsteps stop. And I hear her turn around. I turn around, and she tells me, "This is how this is going to work." And then she gave me like some ground rules of how often we would talk, what she was going to have me read, how I would have to practice. And we worked together for about 2 years. She was my mentor. So when my daughter was little, she was around when I would be on some of these calls, but it was never something that I thought, oh, I want to teach my kids to do this. If anything, in my 20s, I was still struggling with is this really me or am I going crazy?
Hmm.
Because I had my family telling me, that's stuff of the devil. I had my partner telling me, you know, this is crazy. Like, this isn't the way the world's supposed to work. I would hear things like, you have an unfair advantage. You're cheating in life. And I couldn't handle some of the stuff that I was being told by people around me, right? People that were close to me.
Right.
So it took me a while before I got comfortable to start teaching someone. And it wasn't until my daughter was old enough to say, Mom, I want to learn how to do some of the stuff you do, that I started to teach her. And by that point, I had the two younger ones, and they were exposed to it, but I've always waited until they've asked, right? Like my son finally asked about 2 years ago, um, the question around healing people, because he would find himself similar to myself. If his friend was hurt, he would feel the same sympathy pain, right?
Hmm.
Or he has a huge heart, he has huge empathy for people. So it was one of those like, okay, let me give you a little bit of knowledge of what possibly could be happening and how you can control this. It's almost like if there was a school for empaths or intuitives, I imagine it would be kind of like an X-Men scenario, right? Like that's how I always think of it.
Right.
uh, because people do develop their talents and gifts slightly differently.
Right. Oh wow.
Now, do you have any intuitive gifts, or have you discovered your intuitive gifts?
It's interesting. Like I, I've heard that I have healing hands, and
Okay.
I've been told that by many people. Um, I've had moments of deja vu, and I would say that I've had premonitions and stuff that turned out to be frighteningly you know accurate. But I don't know if I'm tuned in enough to say that I am on that kind of level as far as doing that. But I think we all have like little sparks of it. So I guess that
Yeah.
maybe it's something that you would have to really explore to see how much of it is part of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, my belief is that we all have intuitive gifts. I think that some of us haven't looked into it or haven't wanted to, or maybe we just turned it off, like I did when I was a kid. I was like,
Hmm.
I don't want to see stuff. I don't want to know things. And then one of the things Christy told me early on, when she started teaching me week one on our first call, she's like, you can turn this on and off. And I was like, you can? Like it was news to me, right? And she just gave me her techniques for basically turning on and off your intuitive abilities. But at the end of the day, over the years of working with other clients myself, I realized like we all have our way of dealing with it, right? Our way of turning it on, our way of turning it off. And sometimes it's automatic. I mean, I can tell you there have been moments in my life, and you may have experienced something like this, where my life was in danger and I heard as clear as day what to do, right? Like
Get
in my
out.
scenario, I was in my 20s and I was driving and I was speeding on the highway and it was foggy and I couldn't see ahead of me. And it was about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm heading home from hanging out with some friends at a college campus. And I hear the word stop, like somebody screamed in my ear, stop. And I slammed on my brakes and my heart's racing. And then I get out of the car, turn on my emergency lights, get out of the car, and I notice I'm inches away from going over the rail on the 10 freeway. And
Wow.
I'm just like, whoa, what was that, right?
Wow.
And so I'm telling you, there are countless stories of people who've heard a voice of a loved one, or they accounted to seeing or hearing an angel. Um, I mean, I have a close friend who, when they immigrated from Mexico to the U.S., she says that there was a helicopter flying above, who had seen them. It was her, her husband, and her children who were immigrating. And she said she got on her hands and knees and started to pray. And then all of a sudden, there was this dark shadow that they could see was over them. And the helicopter just kept looking for them. And so to her explanation is that an angel covered them that day. Well, I don't know if it was necessarily an angel or something else supernatural, but the point is we all at some point in our life have these supernatural moments that are very unexplainable, but they're real. And to say to someone, oh, that's all in your mind or that's all in your head, it's like my biggest pet peeve because I've lived it. Like I've lived people telling me that most of my teenage life and most of my 20s until I got to a point where I was like, fuck it, this is who I am. And I'm just going to explore how I can continue to use these gifts to help other people.
Wow. And this is, you know, it's interesting going into this conversation that we're having. Um, you
You
know,
had no idea this is where we were going to go, Kinte.
no, I did not. I did not. And I'm so happy about it because this is so awesome, you know, to have this conversation. And this is one, so this is what's so good about having these dialogues is that you know, you never know where it's going to go, you know? So this
Yeah.
is really, really interesting and very fascinating. Um, so I was often wonder when people who express that they have these gifts or these um, th- how does it relate in relationships? Because you did say that you had a partner who questioned it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so how is this? How has it been as far as that's concerned? In not just that situation, but other situations.
So it took a while for me to get comfortable being me, right? Like most of us, I think, I don't know, this is just my opinion, but I think it's not till we're in our mid 20s, early 30s that we're finally settled into this is who I am,
Hmm.
right? Um, so once I got back to the dating world and that relationship with my first daughter, her dad and I were together for 7 years. After that ended, I just told myself I would be open with the people that I would go out with. And oddly enough, I remember one of my first blind dates after him and I broke up, and we had been separated for about 2 years. I'm living in Culver City at this point, and I'm attending the Agape Church that's led by Michael Bernard Beckwith.
Beckwith,
I
yeah.
don't know if you're familiar with him.
Very familiar.
And so I would walk. I lived close enough that I could walk from my apartment complex over to the church. And I remember meeting someone online during that time in my life, and his name was Oscar. I don't remember Oscar's last name. And Oscar was a self-proclaimed scientist,
Hmm.
right? Like when on his job description it said scientist. And so we are on Match at this time, or I'm on Match, she's on Match. We become a match. We
Hmm.
meet up at a restaurant, and all of a sudden I start getting this massive pain in my head, and I'm just like, what's going on? I had never experienced the migraine in my life up to this point, so to me it was just like, why am I having this pain? And and it would happen this way for me in my 20s because I hadn't fine-tuned turning it on and off.
Hmm.
And as we're having dinner, I started seeing images of an older man. I started seeing, like, if somebody was showing me a movie reel, right? I see this person passing away in a hospital. And then I asked Oscar about his dad. And we had already talked about his dad before in one of our conversations, but I said, can you tell me anything about your dad? And he goes, oh, that's a topic I really don't like talking about. I already told you my dad passed away. And it had been about a year since his dad passed away. And I was looking for validation without telling him, hey, I'm seeing these random images. I think it has to do with your dad. I'm just hunting for answers. We leave there, we go to a bookstore, and while we're at the bookstore, there's a stand, and on the stand are these books about being psychic, right? And
Hmm.
I start cracking up, like I'm laughing internally, going, what are the chances like they'd have a whole table set up with books about being psychic? And we walk by it, and then I say, Oscar, do you believe in any of this stuff? And he goes, oh no, I'm a scientist. And I start laughing again, and I go, I'm so sorry to laugh. I go, but so you really don't believe that there's an afterlife or anything like that? And he goes, oh no. And I was like, so do you go to church? And he goes, no, I don't believe in God. I was
Hmm.
like, okay. We sit down by the coffee area. Long story short, I start having the pain again, except this time I could see this person being in excruciating pain in their head. And I proceed to tell Oscar, I said, Oscar, did your dad pass away because something was wrong with his brain? And he goes, who told you that? And I said, well, what happened to your dad? And he goes, my dad had two massive brain tumors, and there was nothing that they could do. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, would you believe me if I told you your dad was here right now? And at that time, I still hadn't grasped this concept, which is this: I don't believe that it's dead people I see. I do believe that it's energy that I pick up on from the person that I'm speaking to. And somehow, when people think about that person or have something unresolved with that person, energy lingers. They have these ties to that person. And so I tell Oscar information about his father at this point. I start telling him, your father's showing me t-shirts. I go, shirts from like all kinds of shirts. Like, and he goes, my dad traveled a lot, and everywhere he went, he collected a t-shirt. And I said, and I told him, I said, I also see a lot of cowboy boots. He goes, my dad loved cowboy boots. And so
Hmm.
now I'm telling him stuff that there's just no way I would have known about him, right? It's our first date.
Right.
Needless to say, Oscar didn't call me again.
Oh wow. Wow.
but
It was too much.
but yeah. So Oscar finally says, that's enough. I'm taking you home. He drives me home. He drops me off, and he says, look, as much as I don't want to believe in this is the second time this happens to me. I had a stranger run across the street to tell me stuff about my father. And that had happened a couple of weeks prior for him. So all that to say, sometimes energy lingers. And I think that if we're meant to have a message, if we're meant to have a gift, it's going to happen. Like there's no stopping it if it's meant to happen. Because I do have people that sometimes are like, okay, well, tell me, what do you see in me? And I'm like, that's not how it works. At
Mm,
least not for me.
right.
And then there are times where I have video footage of doing live stream readings for people where I'm telling them that the plane somebody died on, the seat they were in, what they look like, what happened. And these are things that I'm telling you. I don't think it's that we see dead people. I think that we ultimately are just so interconnected, whether we're dead or alive, whether it's something in the past, present, or future, that it's all somehow one big ball of energy, and we just have to tune into the right frequency.
Wow. Wow, man. I mean, we could talk like, actually, we could do a whole program on this because this stuff is so fascinating to me. Um, wow. So I think you're probably now at this point where you kind of have a greater understanding of who you are in this and how it relates to the rest of the world and stuff like that. So, um, am I right to say that?
Yeah, I've come to a place now where what I want to do is I want to help other business owners tap into this. I was talking with Carlos one day,
Mhm.
and we were deciphering basically my messaging as I'm pivoting with my messaging online from being a holistic health practitioner to being a business coach. And he goes, "So let me get this straight. If we take all the fluff out of this, what you want to do is teach business owners to talk to God." And I go, "I guess so. I guess in one short sentence, it would be that. But it's more than that. It's about helping people who are in their entrepreneurial journey to tune in to their intuitive abilities to make better decisions and to also find opportunities that otherwise they're closed off to. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been in business situations where I thought, this is it, my business is over, like things are crashing, burning around me kind of situation. And then I go into that quiet space of meditating and praying, and I hear what action to take next. And that's exactly what I needed to do. Or there have been times where I will make the request, where I'll just be like, hey, God, there's this thing I want to go do, and I have no clue how I'm going to get this done, but I need these resources. And sometimes it could be a car, sometimes it could be money, sometimes it could be, someone to be there for me. And the next thing I know, that's what's happening. A lot of people talk about the law of attraction and it manifesting and this, and I think we could get like very woo about it. But at the end of the day, the closer you have a relationship with God, the easier it is to decipher and maneuver, both through this physical realm that we have and the spiritual realm.
Wow. Wow. Oh, that's what's so fascinating. And a big shout out to our good friend Carlos Phoenix. I was about to say Carlos Lopez, Carlos Phoenix. I don't know why, but uh,
You're gonna change his last name to Lopez.
yeah, I started to slip and say that. I was like, no,
That's
no.
funny.
But so okay,
Oh man.
so let's talk about Kaya Lopez marketing, and just so that let me do a little. We got your website right here. Nice website. Yeah, here. So, tell us about Kaya Lopez marketing.
Poor website. It needs some love.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so about 2 years ago, I decided I wanted to get back into online marketing. And I've always been involved in network marketing, affiliate marketing. I even do some cryptocurrency trading, that type of stuff. Like I'm a big believer in diversifying, your income, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we launched the website because we had started a project to teach people who were in the network marketing space who didn't know how to market themselves, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
a big believer in video and blogging, like getting your message out there. So that's where Chaya Lopez marketing came from. We were literally in the my crew are my kids, to be honest. I run all my ideas by them first, as
Mm-hmm.
funny as that sounds. But I remember this was 2 years ago. I had just picked up the kids from school and I was on a business call with my partner, and we were deciding, do we give the page a like big brand name or do we go with your name? What do we do? And my daughter had just gotten in the car and she goes, I don't understand why you don't just name it Chaya Lopez Marketing. You're already Chaya Lopez Live. So it just makes sense.
Right.
And we both were like, you know what? You're right. We're going to go with that. And that's how Chaya Lopez Marketing was born.
And Kai is a beautiful name, by the way, too. I think it's perfect. Kaya Lopez, perfect name for it. So and you know what? Maybe we should also have your kids as if I need to run some stuff by them. It seems like when I go into business stuff. Oh, did I lose you? Are you here? Oh, I can't hear you.
So you were cutting in and out of it, Kinte?
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah, you
saying,
were cutting in and out a bit.
yeah, I was saying how Kaya is a beautiful name, so it's perfect for what you're doing. Oh, all right.
Yeah. So now
Go ahead.
let's see. I don't know if it's my connection or yours, but let me turn on the web.
Okay.
Um, so I
Yep.
didn't hear your question. You were cutting in and out. I
Okay.
heard the it's perfect for what you're doing now. That's all I heard.
Okay. Can you hear me now, Kaya?
Yeah.
All right. No, I was saying your name
Mm-hmm.
Kaya is a beautiful name, so it's perfect for your branding. You know, Kaya is a strong name.
Aw.
Yeah. So, where? How did you get your name, by the way? Do you
Oh,
know?
thank you.
Was it-
So my mother, so I was born with another name. Kaya is my spiritual name.
Oh, okay. That's what I was say. I was going to say,
And
was she a fan of Bob Marley?
yeah, so a couple of years ago, my mother had all of us renamed. My mother is, I consider her a Jewish mystic. She
Mm.
studies the Kabbalah. And so her rabbi renamed us, all six of us. And out of that, I decided to start using the name. And that
Oh,
became my pen name, and it became my name online, and it became my brand.
perfect. Yeah. Well, you got to use it now. All right. Kaya. All right. Oh, big shout out to my homeboy Chris
Right, right.
Gray. Chris Gray just hopped in. Big shout out to him. Um, so let's talk about this space that we exist in called the internet, social media, streaming and all of that kind of stuff, right? It's so funny because
Yeah.
I was gonna say just 2 years ago, no, just what 3 months ago, everybody was down on it, who weren't in it already. Now everybody's a podcaster. You notice that everybody's a streamer. All the late night shows are streaming using Zoom, using whatever they're using, right? And it's hilarious to me that these people who would have spit on it now is seeing the value of it. Now you have all these entertainers are doing Instagram battles and Instagram interviews and all of this kind of stuff. And so this is a space that we've kind of existed in quite a while. So I want you to talk about the benefits for someone like yourself of using this space of streaming, YouTube, and that kind of thing. How it's benefited you, not only from a personal standpoint of your business, but also just getting information as well and connecting with people.
Yeah, so I remember 2006 was the first time I ever recorded a video and posted it on YouTube. Oh no, we lost Kinte. I don't know if I'm streaming by myself.
No, we're good.
There you are.
No, we're good.
I
I just
thought I
want
lost
to
you for a
close.
minute.
No, just a close.
Okay. Um, so 2006 was the first time I ever recorded a video, and I recorded a series of 40 videos. So every night I recorded a video, and it was for a weight loss program I was doing with this doctor locally. And I wanted to prove to myself and the practice that video marketing worked and that it would be more effective than anything they were doing with their paid advertising. And that's what made me a believer in this. So what happened out of it was right away, um, the first 40 days that I had done the videos, nothing really happened, and I thought, oh my God, video doesn't work. I was way off. This sucks. And then I went and I taught myself a couple more things inside, like using tags, what a name, thumbnails, and all of a sudden I'm now researching and learning marketing, right? Made a couple of tweaks on titles and tags, and next thing I know, the doctor who I had made these videos for started getting phone calls, and they were running no ads at that time. So the wife tells me the only way this could be happening is from the marketing that you decided to do.
Hmm.
And I was like, holy shit, like this really works, right? So then I end up dissolving my partnership agreement with them. I end up going my own way and started running ads on Facebook. I still remember to this day, first ad I ran was $5 is all I paid for it.
Hmm.
And I had over 100 leads to my private practice that I had set up at that point. And these weren't like video ads. These were just like static images with text. And
Hmm.
then as the years went on and I kept studying marketing, I realized, you know what? Video still outdoes any image that you could put out there, any pay per click. But what I noticed was it was a way to build a relationship with people. That the more I showed up on video, the more followers I started to gain. And then it was like, okay, what do you now do? Now you have all these followers. What do you do with it? And so I wish someone had in from the beginning gone, hey, Kaya, let's set up your client journey. What do you want their experience to be like? Which is one of the things that I do now with my clients, right? So I think that it has its place for sharing content, but people have to be very clear about what type of content they're out there sharing, right? Like there's what you're doing right now, interviewing and building a platform for your channel or your feed, and it gets you exposure, it gets you to a certain level, right? For
Right.
businesses, I tell them all the time, don't think just because you created one ad with one video that that's going to do it. Like, why do you think companies repeat and show their videos over and over or their ads over and over on commercials? Because of the repetition, right? You
Hmm.
get brand recognition. But with video, the beautiful thing with social media is people can go on a journey and get to know you over several days, right? And they can look at your feed and see that you're a real human being if that's the brand that you're building. And one of the things I tell my clients all the time is the closer your brand is to you, meaning this, if I see you on the street, are you going to look like the person that's on camera? Are you going to look like the person that's on those pictures that you post? Or are you doctoring things up and pretending to be a persona so that you get certain type of people following you? So I'm more of like be you, right? Just brand you, be as close to you as possible online, and let that be the filter for who's following you. And don't focus on the numbers. Like really focus on genuinely connecting with the people that are commenting and the people that are messaging you. Because for me, I light up when I get a message from someone saying, hey, something you shared made a difference for me, or hey, you shared that story, I can relate to it. For me, that becomes part of the thrill of it. But
Hmm.
then I've learned over the years how to turn those followers into actual clients, which was the missing piece for me. And I didn't learn that till about 2 years ago.
Mm,
So, video is great. I think live streaming is amazing. Anything can happen. That's part of the excitement of it, right? Like
right,
part of the thrill is like you really don't know. Like, is the cat gonna jump in front of my camera today, or are the kids gonna run in here and say something stupid? Like you never know, right?
right.
With
Yeah.
the question of what do I think about people that are jumping into it now? Um, it irks me a bit only because I've been streaming video for years.
Hmm.
And so now to see certain people and companies that used to say, oh no, we can't let our reps be on camera. We can't, we have all these policies, legal has to be involved. They can only say certain things, especially people in the financial sector, right?
Hmm.
Um, that now I'm seeing them do video and now I'm seeing them use things like Zoom to meet with their clients, the things that they were told they couldn't do. It kind of irks me a bit, but it makes me happy at the same time that the industry wise, right? Like businesses are having to shift. They're having to make the shift into using these kind of platforms to connect with their audience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's funny to me because I've heard all kind of stuff for years about this medium, but it was pretty evident that it was going to be what it is, not just because of the pandemic, but because of what it allows you to do. It allows you to have direct access with your fan base or your listener base or whatever you want to call it, and that is that's like gold. That's really like gold. Um, and I really like the fact that I check out your lives as well, and it's apparent and it's apparent that you are really good at connecting with your audience. Was that like a natural right out the bat thing? Did it take you a while? You look like you're very comfortable communicating. Was that something that took you a while to get used to, or was that
You're
something?
cutting in and out again, Kinte,
Oh,
so I
I'm
can't
sorry.
understand what you're asking me.
Okay, my bad. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can
Hello?
hear you.
Okay.
Let's see if
No,
you.
what I was saying was that you seem like you're very comfortable communicating to your audience. Was that something that took a while to get used to?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of cutting in and out.
Yeah. Talk about communicating with your audience. How comfortable are you at it? Uh-oh. All right, let's do this. Maybe all right, I'm gonna bring you out and bring you right back in. Let's see. All right. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties we're having right here. Kaya, are you here? Kaya? All right. So we're sorry about that. We are having a little technical difficulty, so we're waiting for Kaya to come back in. I want to give a shout out to Chris Gray, who just came in, as well as Javier Lopez. How you doing, Javier? Uh, we gotta, and also all the people that have been listening. We only have a few minutes left, so hopefully we can close out on a good note. So let's see if we have Miss Kaya. All right, as we are waiting to have Miss, there she go. All right, can you hear me clearly now, Kaya? Can you hear me, Kaya? Okay, so I don't think she can hear me. Uh, this is hilarious. Uh, we got awesome.
I can see you, but it's cutting in and out. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, we're having some sort of technical difficulties. Unfortunately, when you're doing a live show, that happens. So I don't know. Let's see. Let's try it one more time. I'm doing the Ryan Perez. Let's try it again. We're doing the Ryan Perez method to try to get her back and going. Yeah. So, as we are waiting once again, just to let people know, on this Sunday, we will be back with an episode with me and Dr. Vibe at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. And tomorrow, tonight, we won't be doing the part two of Hamilton. We are doing it tomorrow. So, we'll put out what time it is. So, we're going to be covering on our Film Freak show part two or act two of Hamilton, the musical. So, so, just wanted to let people know about that. All right. All right. So, I wanted to close out the show properly with our guests. If we can't, maybe we'll just say goodbye. But also, let's see. If you want to follow me, of course, you can do so at Kinte F on Twitter, Kinte Ferguson on Instagram. And of course, the website is indyradio.org. That's indyradio.org. And we have Chaya Lopez on Instagram.com. And she is at Chaya Lopez Live. And also Chaya Lopez Marketing.com. So, yeah. So, we're gonna have to, unfortunately, we're gonna have to cut this episode. But I want to thank our guests, and we will be back, like I said, tomorrow on Indie Radio, and we're going to be covering the Act Two of Hamilton. So, with all that said, thank you guys. You guys have a beautiful rest of your weekend, and God bless.